And the one thing that we do versus everybody else, and this is the big key separator between SuperX and everybody else, and it still is to this day.
What's going on, everybody? It's Ted again here with the Countdown to the Geeks.com. With me is the one and only Retro Ray, and we got a very special interview for you guys. Collaborator that we've worked with in the past to give away some fantastic items to folks watching, just like yourselves. The CEO of the SuperX Apparel brand, Mr. Austin Gayne. How you doing, sir?
I am doing extraordinarily well. I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate you guys having me today.
Absolutely. We is a long time coming for us. I know we've been wanting to try and get you on for a while now because you, sir, your products are like set apart from like anything else that's available out there. And I'm not just kind of saying that or exaggerating. You can ask any of the winners of our past Super X giveaways who have been so stoked and happy with their items. You guys do such an incredible job. All the designs are stellar. It just seems like your products are just so much more impeccably made than anything else that's out there. And speaking from a person who has a ton of hoodies in his closet that are falling apart, your guys' stuff is just like it's durable and it's breathable and it's fantastic. And this new 2025, I'm gonna start working out pretty heavily here pretty soon. So I'm gonna have to get some items for myself. But let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Let's hear about your hero origin stories, Austin. Tell us how you guys ever got off the ground. What inspired you? What led you to creating this company? And even let us know what SuperX came from.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and I always want to provide the audience the most value and not just listen to a guy ramble on and on. So, really quick, like I didn't go to college. I dropped out a few times. I got fired from every job I've ever had. So, I started my first business like idea or venture out of desperation. I was like, well, I don't necessarily feel like I want to work for anybody else because I keep getting fired, and I don't necessarily feel like the college route is for me. And where I grew up, that was kind of all it was. It was just a big press to go to college. And if you didn't go, you kind of felt stuck or you kind of felt like maybe you were behind or whatever. So I had some success early on with a career in sales. And I was at 19, I got a job working for a fitness supplement company. I was crushing sales and I was doing really, really well. For a couple of years, I was making six figures by the time I was 19, 20, 21 years old. And from somebody who grew up on Social Security, which is basically a government subsidies for low income families, it felt like I had really like quote unquote made it from coming from my history and growing up and living in growing up in a trailer and all those types of things. So for me, it was like, wow, this is great. But as I've already alluded to, I got fired a few years into that job. And what ended up happening was at that company, they said, hey, we're paying this team, six figures a year to do sales. We can just undercut them, pay somebody minimum wage to do the same job. So essentially that's what happened. And from then on, I was like, I don't want to let my future, my financial security, and the future of my family's financial security be in the hands of anybody else. So out of desperation, I kind of started thinking about ideas for a business. And of course, like anybody else listening, I just started writing them in my journal. I was like, okay, well, what am I good at? And it was like fitness, sales. That was pretty much it. It was a short list. And then I was like, okay, well, what are some things that like aren't really out there? And that's a big component when you want to think about starting a business. And I give this advice to anybody who's interested in starting a business or anything like that is you have to kind of do something that no one else is really doing or else why exist, right? And I see a lot of people, they see like they want to start like a clothing company and then they just do the same thing as everybody else. They just go black and white shirts, they slap a logo or screen print and they think, oh, my new logo or my little slogan is what's going to be different. And, unfortunately, it's really competitive. So back to the point is when I was brainstorming a list of ideas, for some reason, I just knew that there was a connection between fitness and superheroes. I had watched the Avengers movies as well as the Batman movies and all the superhero movies of the early 2010s and in the 2010s. And one thing I noticed, and you guys can all attest to this, is almost every single one of the actors, they were jacked. They were in really good shape. And I was like, you know what? Like, why is it that the comics and why is it that all the movies, they all have this inner connection and they're all integrated with fitness, whether we're talking about combats, right? Like with the Daredevil being able to punch and, do parkour and be like conditioned, or we're talking about Chris Hemsworth with Thor just looking like an absolute like jacked man that you're just like, wow, I wish I could look like this. There was always this kind of connection between fitness and superheroes. So then I started to think and I was brainstorming. I wrote down like the idea that I had was actually supplements and superheroes. But at the time, I actually committed to it. I invested my entire life savings into a brand called Superheroes Nutrition, and it worked. No, I'm kidding. It failed, obviously. This is why my brand is now SuperX. So I put all of my life savings into this company because I thought it was going to work, but it's one of those things where I overcommitted and I didn't know what I didn't know. And unfortunately, that company, I started that company about 9 years ago, and then I basically kept pivoting and pivoting and pivoting until I landed on what would be known as activewear, which is what we do today. So the reason I tell you that is like my first idea failed. I came out of a place of desperation. I tell you guys that because most people think that when they start a business, it has to be this light bulb moment, or you have to nail it on the first try, or you have to you have to have like funding or financing or anything that's like, only special people have, or you have to be really smart. I just laid all that framework for you guys to understand that I was not the smartest. I kept getting fired. I didn't have a background. I never went to college. My first idea, I invested my life savings and all of that money got wasted, went down the toilet. So that first idea didn't work. And I just kept pivoting. I went from the supplements, which failed, to the workout programs, which failed. And I was like, hey, I can't really scale this. This is not going to get bigger than maybe a few $100s a month. And then eventually I just pulled a group of people on Instagram and I was like, hey, out of these categories, what would you guys be interested in? And it came to be that the missing link for fitness and superheroes was activewear. And activewear at the time, I thought it was a niche, like a very small market. I was like, how many people really want like superhero clothes? And I thought I was kind of cornering myself at the time into a market. But the amazing part, and this is kind of how the universe or God, whatever you believe in, kind of works itself out, was I thought about if the supplements had worked out. I thought about if the workout programs had worked out. I now realize that those companies would have been significantly smaller and much more cornered into a smaller niche than the clothing. So it's kind of great how things kind of work out in the back end. But that was my story. Obviously, lots of ups and downs in between, lots of failures, lots of sleepless nights, just being an entrepreneur and a business owner. And, we can maybe get into that later. But that's how all of that, all of those just kind of from ideation onto paper to testing things out, failing, continuously reinventing, and what we call in business is pivoting from one idea to the next, not ever giving up, and eventually landing on something that works. And the only part of all of that I want you to remember, if you're listening, is, whenever you have an idea, if it fails, don't quit. Just continue to pivot and pivot and pivot. And one of my favorite stories, there's a story of Thomas Edison. And when somebody asked him and they said, hey, Thomas, I'm going to make the presumption they're going to say Thomas at the time, not Mr. Edison, right? And they said, hey, how did it feel failing 10,000 times creating the light bulb? And what he actually said was, I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways not to create a light bulb. And that quote has forever stuck with me as nothing is really failing as long as you learn and you keep going. And that's the beautiful thing about business, life, fitness, whatever it is that you're in pursuit of. If you refuse to fail, you learn from your mistakes and you continue to pivot towards a better idea that has a higher probability of success, eventually something's going to stick. There's like that old saying, it's like throw stuff on the wall until something sticks. And it's essentially the same kind of concept, right? And that's exactly what happened to me. This was not my first idea. I failed many times. I'm not the smartest guy. I don't have a background. I'm not some genius. I just kept throwing shit to the wall until something stuck, and it finally did.
I'm so glad you elaborated on that one specific part, because I was going to follow up with you on that, but you already elaborated and you extended it on there. When you fail at something, and it's difficult. This is not an easy thing. It's a challenge to kind of tell that part of your brain to shut it off and stop overthinking, and to stop putting yourself down, or calling yourself a failure, or not having any sort of expectations of oneself, and getting past that noise, and just getting back to work, and putting your head down, and doing something until it happens. What is it specifically that kind of gave you that mindset? Because not everybody is born with it. Is it a mentor in your life? Is it a parental figure? Is it someone who inspired you? What Where did you get that mindset, or that intuition to kind of turn off the noise, not worry about what has happened in the past, and just to keep pushing forward?
Yeah, that is a great question. And the first thing I will say is I don't think everybody can have a successful business. And I say that respectfully because I look at business, and we're talking higher levels of business here, right? I look at it the same as professional athletics. It's like anyone can shoot a basketball or start a business, but not everyone's going to make it to the NBA, right? And I genuinely believe that. And one thing I will tell you is whether it was, nature versus nurture, I can't say, but I have an extremely high stress and pain tolerance. And when you're
Mm,
starting a business, especially in your first time, that is one of the keys towards success. There's a guy on the internet, Alex Ramosi. He has this kind of saying, and he says like entrepreneurs, really successful entrepreneurs, not that I am, I hope to be one day, but really successful entrepreneurs, they have a combination of like high optimism, um, with like a sense of like never being good enough. And I think that is kind of a key towards being a successful entrepreneur. And I always like to use the slogan of failure and thinking like an inventor and Thomas Edison, and utilizing the scientific experiment whenever you're trying something. Because whether it's in business or like for more relatable terms, whether we're talking about sports, like if somebody that's a listener is trying to make it in a sport, or someone's trying to be an actor and they're going after audition or whatever it is in life, it's a very similar setup. I like to treat life as a science experiment. And one of the things that's beautiful about a science experiment is most of us have done it, right? We were in grade school, we were in middle school, high school. You guys remember the trifold boards, the boards you got to put together? You basically create a hypothesis,
yep,
and I'll
yep,
explain exactly why this is all related so you don't burn out over this. But a
yeah,
hypothesis is a business idea. You say, hey, I have a business idea. I'm going to make this brand, which is your hypothesis. And then what's the middle of the board? You test it. It's a test. You say, I'm going to test my hypothesis. And then what's the last part of the science experiment? It's the conclusion, it's the data. So you say, I tested my hypothesis. This is what the feedback or the data, this is how the test went. And then you write your conclusion. So the problem with most people is they want to be an actor, they want to go do something, and they only test this once. And then they say, you know what, it's too hard, I'm not smart enough, or whatever the excuse or whatever the reason is. But what you have to do is you have to take that initial hypothesis, test it, get the feedback, write the conclusion, ponder on the conclusion, and then reset that process over and over and over. And I always tell people, business, pursuing anything that's challenging is a science experiment.
yeah.
Wow,
I
that's
love
crazy.
that. I love that example, and how you're trying to convey it using a separate method. But yeah, it's something that I think, especially folks on our team, we've talked about it for a long time.
Yeah, it's it. Yeah.
This podcast, we're in our 10th year, and we've
Congratulations.
I appreciate it, and we've never imagined we would get to some of the places that we've gone to. Rub shoulders next to some of the biggest names in the industry, and cover some of the biggest events in the world. So yeah, it's all you spelled it out beautifully, better than I ever could. And so yeah, I really appreciate you doing that and taking the time. And there's going to be, if not one, at least a dozen people watching this who needed to hear those things specifically. So thank you also for doing that.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
get to your let's get to
I
your
just
close
want to say
now.
one more thing.
Sure.
And I like to speak to your audience on this too, because again, I don't think that business is the sexiest thing. It's just one of many different avenues in life you could take. But
Yeah.
I really want whoever's listening to this to really just consider whatever goal or whatever aspiration you have in life, and to take that mental framework and apply it. Like you could literally do whatever it is you want in life if if that's your strength, and if you never give up. I really believe it. I really believe it. You just have to continue to try, fail, learn, and then repeat that process over and over. And it's like, I know friends that are, actors that have auditioned, did terrible, did terrible, did terrible, did terrible. And then eventually they learn from all those auditions, and then they finally get a part that kind of helps them out, or started a business, or, did whatever it is. But it's important to realize that success in any form, whether we're talking business, athletics, Hollywood, whatever it is, it's all the same, man. It really is a mindset of, I'm going to try. If I fail, I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to continue to redo it over and over until I succeed, not if. And that's the big rewiring of the brain. If you can shift that mindset and your belief of from if to until, then you really will unlock cockroach determination. One last story I'll give you guys, and everyone's heard of this company, which is why I tell you, one of the companies that really inspired me it's called Airbnb. And Airbnb, most people don't realize this, but there was a period in Airbnb where they were selling cereal to make it. And most people don't know this because they don't know the history of this. But there was a point where their idea of an actual air mattress in the corner of an apartment wasn't really working out so well. And in order to pay their bills, they were like, this was the 2008 election. And they were like, hey, I have this idea just to raise money in order for us to stay alive as a business. We're going to sell cereal called Obama O's and Captain McCain's. So they sold, I think it was like $50,000 worth of cereal to keep them afloat.
Wow.
And then after they had done this, they went to a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley and asking for obviously an investment in their company. And they almost didn't have it until they told them that story. And that story told these venture capitalists that I'm going to give my investment or my money to these founders because whatever comes, I know that they're never going to give up. And they were nicknamed having cockroach-like persistence. So if you guys can kind of adopt that for your own life and your own mindset, I think you can literally do anything that you want as long as you have that persistence of not if, but when or until. Yeah. But that's all I want to leave. I'll let you get into the next.
Dude.
Absolutely.
The conversation me and Tad had prior to you coming in was kind of what it's like you're talking to me to a certain extent. I have a passion. I love art, love artists, love writers. Without the industry, without these guys in the backbone of these people building the universe that you are making clothing for, I'm actually, without Ted's help creating Countdown and me being in this position to where I get to sit down with these artists, all these artists from all over the world, from Australia to Mexico, and I get to hear their stories. Yeah, Japan. And some of these people didn't even go to art school because they couldn't get in. They got turned down. And hearing their stories of that didn't stop them to continue to draw comics. And now they are working in Marvel or Image. And it's like you said, my passion is art. I can't draw, but I can work with artists, and I've worked with them and come with some great pieces. But that's what I'm good at. Like my imagination and working with these people and helping them create awesome artwork. I'll share them with you later, Austin, but seeing what they bring from your mind to paper and seeing it grow and then sell out, and you see it online later selling for $200 of a simple idea from someone who didn't graduate from college, just like you said, who is working a regular job, but yet the love for art is there, and you don't let that stop. And dude, it's like you're preaching to me to a certain extent from this interview so far. And that's the thing. I've built these relationships with artists, and getting to your clothing line. G.I. Joe is my favorite. When you created the Snake Eyes line, and it just feels like you said, things fall into play, and I cannot make this up. This is the truth. Everything. If you're watching this, guys, we were at a convention, was going to interview Larry Hama, and you had just dropped the line for the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow line. And I showed him, I was like, hey man, have you checked this out? Blah, blah, blah. I showed it to him. He's like, oh man, those are cool. He's like, and he wears hoodies. So I was like, he's like, dude, I would love to have something like that. Dude, I reached out to your company, told him I was working, was going to interview Larry. I still got to interview him. But I don't know if you got to see that, but Larry rocked you're freaking creator of GI Joe rocked your hoodie, dude. That was, to me, I think we're all put on this earth for a reason, and for me to present that to Larry Hama gave me goosebumps, man. But you created the suit and created this line. Without you creating that, Larry wouldn't have never worn this. So it's so crazy, dude.
Well, you could say the same with Larry, though. Without him, that would have never been a product, right? So it kind of
Yeah.
comes back full. It's kind of full circle.
Yes. But anyway, that's part of your line. I'm sorry for ranting right there, but no, dude, everything that you've said is spot on. Don't let your failures stop you from doing what you love.
Exactly. Our artists, man, I have a big spot and a big passion for art as well. It's probably I have a passion for a wide range of art, from whether we're talking comics or more of conventional art, paintbrush type of art. I have a few friends that I purchase art from frequently.
Wow.
And that's a big passion of mine. And as obviously, hopefully I get more money in the future, I'm going to continue to reinvest into art, because it's so amazing to see. That's something that I could never do. I can never play an instrument, and I can never paint, but it's something that I'm glad to continue to be a part of, and talk to artists and be a part of that creative aspect of art and music. And it's something that's a passion of mine. But I'm really glad that those words can just radiate with you a little bit, because that's the thing about whoever's listening. It's like, what I'm saying isn't business. Like, screw business. Like, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about, it's all the same conventional principles. It's just literally like, figure out what you have an aptitude in or strength in. And then once you figure that out, then you just lean into that, and then you never give up, and eventually something will stick. The timeline's uncertain. The size of the success is uncertain, but eventually something will stick. The universe has a way to tend to reward those who have unwavering persistence.
Wow. Dude, man, you're giving me goosebumps, bro.
The word the word of the day, kids, is perseverance. Anytime we say it, you got to scream. Take us back to the building process. Now, the one thing I said when we first started this interview was that your stuff separates itself from everything else. There's just something very detailed and thorough in the way that your stuff is made and the way that it looks, where all the stitching is. It just feels like you're wearing armor, and that's probably part of the intent, is that
Yes.
you're wearing sort of armor while you're wearing your Batman logo or your Cap logo on your chest. Tell us about what it is that you and your team considers and thinks about when you start drawing the designs in that creative process.
Yeah, I could tell you, but those are my secrets. No, I'm kidding.
Ooh.
I'll explain really quick. And for anybody listening that is a fan of pop culture mildly or heavily, you're going to know exactly why we're successful here in a second. When I started this brand, I actually looked up, hey, is there anything else like this? And when you look up pop culture, whether we're talking DC, Marvel, anime, anything pop culture related, and you look up workout gear, all you're going to find for the most part is black, white, gray t-shirts with the screen print on it. That's all that's ever been done. That is as far as the envelope has been. And the only type of push or invention, and I use that term as more of a satire, is because it is basically, the graphics look a little bit more modern. That's all it is. There's been no change and uplift and press when it comes to pop culture gear. And I was like, this is kind of weird. It's like these companies, these characters, the brands like Marvel, DC, Dragon Ball Z, Crunchyroll, like all of these properties, these are huge properties. And for there not to be a clothing company dedicated towards pop culture gear is kind of a weird concept. So I started to do research, and I found, hey, there really is only black, white, and gray shirts with the screen print on them. I owned a few of them. There's nothing better than this. The only thing that had ever been done prior was by Under Armour in 2014. They did a line of I think DC or Marvel compressions, and they were higher quality. They're still not up to the grade of our clothing today, but it was the best thing. But I happened to find out that was a discontinued and a very limited line. And I was like, well, this puts me in a predicament. It means that I think that there's an opportunity here the market's not serving it. So let me go test and see if my hypothesis will be proven correctly. So then I started to ideate some ideas and made some concepts of some products. I was like, hey, here's this hero inspired or that hero inspired, and we got orders for these kind of concept in the form of pre-orders or pre-sales. And I was like, you know what? People are willing to trade their money in for these designs, and they're willing to do it on a pre-sale basis. So it tells me that this hypothesis finally, this hypothesis, after many failed ideas, this one's actually going to work out. So we did this idea for a couple of years. We were just doing inspiration. We're like, hey, this is kind of like, if you like this character, this is kind of on it. We don't use the logo. We're not screen printing. We're actually making every single product in a way that feels like you're wearing that character's suit or costume or whatever, but in a cool way. And what I always tell people that we do is, if the easy way to understand what SuperX is like, if you think about a company like Lululemon, a very technical company, merging with a company like Marvel, that hybrid of an idea is kind of what we are. We're a high-end technical activewear line that's infused with pop culture. So all of our products are high-end technical activewear. And what does that mean, high-end technical activewear? It means we use really comfortable, stretchy, long-lasting, and durable fabrics geared for performance or whatever it is in life that you're doing. And then we basically create compelling or visually striking designs that are really connected to the character or collaboration that we're doing to kind of bring together this one-of-a-kind product. And the one thing that we do versus everybody else, and this is the big key separator between SuperX and everybody else, and it still is to this day, everybody else still relies on these printed designs and these printed like pictures, or they'll even just print the entire character suit on a single piece of fabric. We don't do that. That's kind of a cheap way to do it, and it doesn't really look good, and it kind of looks like something you'd buy at like Spirit Halloween store or something. It doesn't really look like something that you'd be comfortable wearing outside of Halloween or like as like, when you're going to sleep in or something. So what we do is we basically create a product that makes you feel like the character, not feel like you're wearing a picture of the character. And that is the big difference. When people buy other types of superhero gear, they're buying a picture of the character and they're wearing said picture of the character. When they buy SuperX gear, they feel like the character that they're buying. And that is the big differentiator. Our brand is a fitness brand at the heart of it. And when I say fitness, that's a wide umbrella. It's not just at the gym doing weights. It's MMA. All of our athletes at SuperX are professional MMA fighters. It's parkourists. It's strength training. So think of some of the power lifters. It's functional training. So think of CrossFitters, bodybuilders, like sprinters, endurance athletes, literally anything that has to do with movement or fitness or just bettering yourself through activity. That's what we make too. And we make our gear just at a high level of quality that has never been seen in the market before. And we back every purchase up with a 1-year warranty on all of our items too, because we really do care about the customer experience, and we really do care about them buying a product, especially for the prices that we have. They're not cheap. And I always tell people this: if you're looking for something cheap, you'll find it all over the internet. You go to Wish, you can go to Alibaba, you can go to Walmart, you can go to Target. They'll give you what you're looking for. But if you're looking for something that makes you feel like the character, that was designed with intention, and that's going to last a long time and hold up to your toughest workouts, or go with you, whether you're at the movies, playing games, roaming your city, whatever, then you come to SuperX. But for something that's low quality, something you're going to toss in a month, then we're not the place for you.
Wow.
And we can also testify to the quality and the durability of your products, because we've given out a little over a half dozen of your items. And I remember we gave a red Power Ranger hoodie to an elementary gym coach who was a massive Power Rangers fan. And the look on his face when he found out that he was one of our raffle winners, and he put it on right away. He took photos of it, sent it to his wife. He was just ecstatic. And then he sent me more photos like in a month after. He goes, still wearing it. I look great in it. I love the way it feels. He was just thanking us again. He's like, thank you guys so much for making me a winner. And so happy customer there. I'm not a review channel in apparel, but I can let you guys know already. The folks that have won the products of SuperX from us, they've all loved it, and yeah, it's fantastic. We also have a few photos to share with folks out there. You recently put out a brand new Batman and Catwoman line, and I'm just going to show these two items up close. First off, because they are just fantastic. Tell us a little bit. You don't have to give us any of the details or any of the actual secrets behind it, but just looking at these in the entire thought process and design process from beginning to what it ended up. How happy are you with the end result and what your team put out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, really quick, when we're getting into the realm of licensing or working with companies like, in this case, Warner Brothers / DC Comics, you're basically confined to a set of rules. And what I mean by that is, if you make a design, you have to understand what type of inspiration you're drawing from. And I'll give you an example. If we want to make a Dark Knight, which would be the Christian Bale trilogy, hoodie, it's going to be all Dark Knight branding, right? This is clearly not Dark Knight branding. So if you're looking at the hoodie on the left, you're going to notice it's more of an evergreen. And what I mean by evergreen, it's kind of like Batman is just kind of Batman. It's not a specific project. It's not a specific movie. It's not a specific film. It's not a specific comic. It's just a generalized Batman design. And when we created this, we want to look and we want to think about what are the defining elements of Batman. Number one, obviously the color scheme. We're talking black, dark gray, and speaking historically, some type of bronze. So we needed to figure out how do we include all three of those colorways into this tracksuit. And in what we finalized here, we feel like we did it right. We had the utility belt design looking bronze waistband. We've gotten the black and the gray, and we did the black strategically up on the upper back or on the upper chest and the shoulders to kind of mimic the cape kind of coming over the drapes over the shoulders and that upper chest. And then if you look at the hood too, the hood is kind of like, in a way, it is a cape if it's down. It's kind of hangs off your back, and it kind of mimics that. The hood kind of mimics that cape as well. The black on the forearms represents the gauntlets. That's kind of that's a cool little feature. And something that's really important for everybody to know is the black on the shoulders and the black on the forearms. That we're going to use a mesh on those specific areas of the product. And we do that because it has more flexibility, breathability, and it just kind of feels like different. It's a different fabric than the rest of the hoodie. And it's really interesting. So it kind of feels like stretchier there. It kind of feels like armor, so to speak. But for the gym, it's really comfortable. It's really flexible. It's breathable. As far as the rest of the garment too, we knew that Batman kind of has like this armored type of style and look, right? And it's like in most comic iterations, like Batman's physique kind of lays out the lines for his suit. But in movies, the suit is actually lined up, and it's not the actor's body. In more modern movies, it's actually not the actor's body mimicking the lines. It's just the suit design. So we just took that inspiration. We created the abdominals, which you guys will see there. We created the chest lines, and all of those, by the way, everything you guys see on this are actual, different pieces of fabric stitched together to complete one design. These aren't like, this isn't a print. This is individual pieces of fabric hand stitched together to create that line. And that's the biggest difference, is that if you were to see this on any other competitor, it's just going to be like a printed, like this going to be a print of this like design you're saying. This feels like armor because this is a bunch of dozens of different fabrics stitched together like an armored suit. And then the last thing you'll see, not the last thing, but just one of the things you'll see here is the pockets have this black heat transfer tape. It just kind of gives like a tactical feeling to it because you need pockets in a hoodie, of course, and the black tape around the pockets kind of just enhances that feel and vibe, especially in person. And then the very last component, which is probably the most controversial of this set, is the logo. Now, the logo, and what I mean controversial, we're talking about the size of the logo here. And this is where you have to balance fashion and what somebody realistically wants to wear out in the world with the character. Half the people love the logo size. The other half wanted it to be 10 times the size. You're never going to make everybody happy. But I think we did a good job here because it still is obvious as to the character, but it's not in your face. It doesn't look like a costume, in my opinion. It looks just kind of more subtle. And the unique part about this logo too, and this is something that most, again, no one else does. That logo is actually not a print. It's actually a piece of fabric in the shape of the Batman logo that's actually stitched over that fabric. So it has depth, it has layers. It's kind of like when you're looking at a bat suit from a side angle and you can see the rise in the bat logo over the suit. That's kind of what we've duplicated here. So that bat logo is a piece of fabric, again, cut into the shape of the bat logo, placed over the base fabric of the hoodie, and it gives you kind of that 3D texture feel, and it really does feel like you're wearing the bat suit. So simply put, this is the bat suit if it was activewear.
As a Batman fan, there's so many fantastic details about this. Not to mention the yellow waist, to mimic the utility belt, but also just all the sort of the stitching has like just a faint amount of yellow and everything, and that is such a cool detail. I'm sure if you're holding it, you're seeing it up close, you can see it even better. But all of that is just high quality and just super detailed, and that's what I love about it. And your Catwoman suit, I can't say this too loud, or my wife will hear. I'm gonna buy this for my wife just because I think she would absolutely love it. She loves purple, and the way this looks and the way it's designed, it just looks incredible.
Yeah, I'll touch on that briefly. This one, we're just getting into women's clothing, so this would be our first actual tracksuit set for women. And our second one we just launched was Ghost Spider, which was 2 days ago now. It was on January 24th, which was a massive success. That Ghost Spider set, if you guys want to go check it out, it's selling out like crazy. But going back to the Catwoman set here, that one was really tricky, and we've had a lot of criticisms about it. But the problem is, Catwoman doesn't necessarily have an iconic suit like Batman. Catwoman, there's very many interpretations. If we're going to vintage comics, you're going to have that purple colorway. If you're going to more modern, you're going to have all black. And most of her suits, for the most part, it's basically like a spandex onesie. It's not as iconic as something like a Superman logo where it's very clear. So we were like, okay, should we just make a black spandex suit or onesie? And I was like, no, we can't do that. So I thought, let's go back and go back to Catwoman's roots. Let's go back with the purple colorway with black accents. And if you look at this, there's a big element that every single person that I've seen, they've overlooked. On the shoulders as well as across the waist, there's these lines that represents Catwoman's whip. Most people don't even that goes over most people's heads. But if you have to think about what makes Catwoman special, there's really the colorway. In this case, we chose purple and black. And secondary is the whip. And it looks like the whip is across her waist on the joggers. And then you could see the whip lines on the shoulders of this product. And then, of course, we have a small Catwoman logo on the upper back, but no one even knows what a Catwoman logo looks like, so it doesn't really matter. And again, this was a complicated one to do because there is no iconic version of Catwoman. And there was a lot of people who didn't like this because I don't know what they're expecting, maybe just an all black thing, but then they would have been disappointed in that too. And you can't please everybody. That's the downside of fashion, is there's always critics out there. But I think for Catwoman and for the very limited variety of suits and the lack of iconic suit, I feel like we did a good job here.
Yeah, I also love the detail of the hands. I don't know what you call this, but it's almost like
there's a runner sleeve.
Yeah,
you put your thumbs through. Yeah.
That's amazing. I know a lot of people love to have garments or jackets or hoodies that have sort of that feature in it. I have one hoodie that has that feature, and I'm always it's a long sleeve shirt. It's a long sleeve shirt that has that feature, and I'm always throwing my thumbs in it whenever I feel like it. I'm just like, it's just a cool feature to have. It, when you want it or not. It's kind of like Crocs when you want to put them in a speed mode. What do they call it? Speed mode, or like just casual mode? That's what I kind of equate this to. It's when I'm ready, I put the thumbs in the sleeve, and I'm ready to go. But these are both incredibly made. Bravo. I know these you guys just launched, I believe, last month, right? Sometime in December is
That's
when
correct.
You launched those. And then you also briefly spoke about the Spider Girl, Ghost Spider, and I could not let you off the hook without talking about this design, because this is straight off the comic book page, if you ask me.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, this was our first women's drop on its own, and I didn't know we didn't know what to expect internally because we never dropped a women's collection on its own. And let's just say that just being honest, this did about 4 to 5 times better in terms of units sold and revenue than we thought it was going to do. And it's really good because that means that there is demand in the women's space, and it's going to incline us, of course, to lean more into women's and do more women's gear. So really exciting news on that. And this one was interesting, and it's we did 2 variations of the hoodie. We did a crop top pullover, which is what you're seeing there,
Yeah.
and then we did a zippered version of it too, just to give the consumer, to give women the opportunity to choose: do they want their stomach exposed or do they not? Because at the end of the day, one of the frameworks I always have to remind people: this is fitness wear. We do design this for people to work out in, whatever working out means to you, but we do design this to be active wear. And we want to give consumers the opportunity to wear, especially women, something that's a little bit more showing or not showing. And I think we nailed it. And it was the first time we've ever done anything cropped as well. And I think that this design speaks to so many people because of the colorway. I think the colorway is really unique. I think the white with the black, the pink, and then the teal accents, I don't think that, I just think it really speaks volumes. And also because no one's ever done a cropped version of this, it really stands out for women and makes them like, wow, this is different. This isn't just like a costume, or this isn't like something I could buy off of a cosplay site. This is different. And kind of doing that cropped was kind of my wife's idea on that. And it ended up going really well. So we're going to lean into that. And we're actually going to be working on a Harley Quinn drop in the future. And that
Oh my God.
we're going to have a cropped version in that as well.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine how well that's gonna sell. Yeah, and here are the 2 versions side by side. Looks absolutely incredible, straight off the comics. Ray's a huge fan. We've actually met Haley Steinfeld in person. We gave her a custom print of Ghost Spider that she absolutely loved. And so, yeah, bravo to the entire team for the Ghost Spider active wear line, because it looks incredible. My daughter is a massive Ghost Spider fan. Too bad she's only 5. But later in the future, when you got some, sizes that'll fit her, this is going to be one of those that she absolutely gets from her parents later on down the road. So yeah. And you also at the same time released some new Spider-Man items. Also notice you guys are dabbling into the active short wear a little bit more, and so pretty amazing you guys have done that. Tell us a little bit about the extensive Spider-Man line you guys just dropped.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious is everybody loves Spider-Man. I think he is the most popular, if not the top 2 or 3 most popular characters in the world.
Agreed.
And on these ones, we're willing to kind of, I don't want to say take a risk, but we're willing to kind of expand our line. We're still a very small business. And I always tell people this: what we're doing today is but it's nothing compared to what we're going to be doing in the future. And in order for that future to kind of unwind, we have to do experiments within our own business. And that means trying different types of products out. And in your case, what you mentioned here is we're doing shorts. So if you look at Spider-Man, one of the products we wanted to test out was the line shorts. So it's those 3 colors. You'll see the blue, the black, and then the red. All 3 of those shorts have a liner underneath, and on that liner has a spider web on it. So we were like, I wonder how these are going to do. We've never sold this type of product before. So let's just see. They sold really well, in fact. And we're going to be adding that into our lineup. So that way, when we do future characters, let's just say next month, we're going to be doing like a Superman, and March, we're going to be doing other types of collaborations, Daredevil and other things. We're going to be throwing out more liner shorts in the future. So that answers your question specifically, the shorts, but the rest of it, it's like a tank top, a short sleeve, a long sleeve, a tracksuit. And then we have the Peter Parker alter ego tees on the far right. Those are just very comfortable, basic shirts that are physique enhancing, and they really speak for themselves. And one thing really quick, guys, why but get our stuff? Essentially, it's the best pop culture activewear in the world in terms of quality. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but it actually enhances your physique. And what does that mean? Enhance your physique. It means it's slim around the shoulders, it's slim around the arms, it's slim around the upper back, but it gives you breathing room on the stomach. So it's not like a compression shirt. It's snug in the right places, and it's more fit in the right places to make you look a little bit more muscular. And that's kind of one of our USPs here. Is I'm really big about, like, not only should it look like the superhero suit somewhat, but it should also make you look like the superhero. And guess what all the superheroes look like? They look like they're in shape. So we want our customers to have that same fit. So you'll notice when you buy our gear, hey, versus my normal shirt, this is going to be a little tighter on the shoulders and the arms and the chest, but I still have the normal amount of breathing room on the stomach. Oh yeah. And also the way that we do certain things like side cuts, it actually isn't going to come up on your stomach when you're doing exercise. It's going to sit right on the body, make you feel good. When you look in the mirror, you're going to be like, wow, I actually look more fit wearing this than without it. So just wanted to quickly highlight there in terms of you to understand, we're not just making, red and blue clothes for the sake of making red and blue clothes. We're making Spider-Man gear that actually helps you look more in shape and more fit as well.
Yeah, that's what I love. And this is the thing that I keep harping on since we started, is the things that set you guys apart. And it's those type of design choices that I really feel like are what set you guys apart. It's what goes into the thought process. It's the details, it's the quality, it's the whole package. And that's why I keep saying this. Everyone who we've talked to, who's won from us, love your clothes. And it's just exciting to hear about what you guys got coming up.
One of the ones that I think is going to be hot for you guys. Don't know if you have it in the pipeline. Miles Morales. That character is huge. People love him like they love Ghost Spidey. If you haven't tapped into that one, Miles Morales is the one that you want to try to get to next.
Absolutely. And one thing I will tell you guys, because we get pitched ideas every day. Any of the partners that we have, we will do every character that they have. So if we're partnered with Marvel, eventually we will get through pretty much the top 50 characters eventually. DC, the same thing. It just takes time. We're working on new partnerships in like anime realm and other types of realm to eventually come to life later on this year and next year, because that's a massive segment too. And anime has, I would say,
it's a big market.
As much, if not more, of a connection with fitness or martial arts than I would say even Marvel or DC does to the consumer. So we really want to, and again, like, our goal at SuperX isn't to be a superhero brand. Our goal at SuperX is to be the world's largest pop culture infused activewear brand. And pop culture is anything that you guys like. We're talking DC, Marvel. We already work with Assassin's Creed, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, anime, eventually every anime property you can think of, and eventually even more than that. We're talking like UFC, WWE, NBA, NFL. Like, we're talking anything pop culture related in the future.
I have an idea, and we know a wrestler that would love to. I think she's a big fitness buff, and she's a local wrestler here in town. Got some crazy ideas in my head right now.
But yes, to answer your question, Miles Morales is in the pipeline.
Sweet. So the Deadpool line that you did, the Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, y'all launched that one at a perfect time, with the movie release and everything. What was the most popular one between the two? I know it's kind of like, who is the favorite between the fans of buying the stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I would say Deadpool, and I don't say that as a lack of Wolverine fans. I say that because I'm looking at the colorway, and it's like, if I'm going to be wearing this to the gym or out in the world, I think the darker red is probably going to sell more than the kind of bright iconic yellow, because that's, at the end of the day, we have to balance what people want to wear in the world with, character inspiration. So sometimes that's going to impact sales. So when you look at Ghost Spider, like, that one hit because white, black with some subtle hints of pink and teal, they go really well together. Or if you're talking like Batman stuff, it's pretty much darker color scheme. So I think the products that do really well for us as a company are products that look really good out in the world, but also connect to the character.
Yeah, true.
100%. And I was going to pull up some pictures because you guys, around the time Deadpool and Wolverine released, you put out their line. And all of this stuff looked fantastic. I know especially a lot of my friends were excited for the Wolverine line because the iconic yellow and blue suit from the comics and the animated series, you just didn't find that on the screen. And when you finally did, everybody realized how special it was to see Hugh Jackman in those colors. The team and the cast, the crew on that movie understood how special it was to see Hugh Jackman in those colors. And so for you guys to put out a line of the yellow and blue Wolverine suit is just so fantastic and spectacular. And there's also a bunch of other Marvel stuff you guys put out recently. Cap is my favorite Marvel character. You guys absolutely killed it with his line. That stuff looks great. And for folks who are still massive Spider-Man fans, you had your Venom outfit that came out, and that's just fantastic. Everything is just impeccable. It just looks so great. It looks so comfortable. Everything is just I absolutely love it. You guys are absolutely doing an incredible job, and can't wait to hear what you guys got coming up. So, Austin, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you tell the folks at home some of the things you guys have coming up? Do you have any special deals, or not deals, but any special online sales you guys are going to be having in the next couple of months or near future? And what other things are you excited about that your team is working on that you're willing to share?
Yeah, great question there. So we don't do sales or deals, again, because everything's kind of limited edition. However, first-time customers can use code Austin for 20% off of their order. AUSTIN, exactly how it sounds too. It's Austin for 20% off your first order. And so that's in terms of the deal side of it. And then the second question, every quarter, so every 3 months, we basically do what we call it an expo, so XPO. And we basically showcase or at least share what we're going to be doing the next 3 months of launches. So I've already shared what we're doing for January, which is now almost over, in February and March. So I'll just share that with you guys. So in February, we're going to be starting the month with a Sam Wilson Captain America tracksuit. That's going to be the February 7th. And then the end of February, we're going to be doing a Superman set. And this one, we're going to be doing 2 Superman launches this year. One of them is going to be inspired after Man of Steel, which is going to be the one in February. And then the second one is going to be inspired off of the movie, which will be in July, of course, to pair with that movie. And then in March, we're going to kickstart March with Daredevil. And I'm really, really excited for that collection. It is probably my favorite collection that so far that I've worked on this year. And then we're going to do a collaboration again with Assassin's Creed for Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's going to include Yasuke and I'm going to butcher this, but Neo. Do you guys know how to say that one?
No, I have trouble saying it too.
Yeah, I butchered the heck out of it. But we're doing a collaboration with Assassin's Creed Shadows for those 2 characters. And then we'll wrap up the month of March with a new collaboration with Mortal Kombat. And that one is going to be epic. And for that drop, we're going to be doing Scorpion and Sub-Zero to kind of kick off our partnership with Mortal Kombat. That one, I am a really big fan. And some of the details, I know you guys will love the details. Some of the details that we're going to be implementing on that, obviously making the design really reflect those character suits, but super small things too. Like we're making the drawstring look like the spear, right? We're making the zippers look like ice daggers. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So simple things like that. And then of course, like the Mortal Kombat branding, I believe the Sub-Zero and the Scorpion logo, they share the same logo, but we're going to put that onto the gear as well. And just kind of a V kind of shaped hem at the bottom to kind of showcase, like kind of represents that their iconic suits as well. It's because they're not just like a flat, straight line like most of our clothes. They actually have this V kind of, I forget what you'd call it, but they have this V-shaped hem at the bottom. So we're going to do things like that. And then that's what we're going to be doing to March. And then a couple other things I want to share with you guys. I already kind of gave it away, but we're going to be doing a Star Wars collaboration in the beginning of May. We're going to kick that off with the Darth Vader collection, which in my knowledge, I don't think anyone's ever done a Darth Vader activewear collection. And I was actually working on it right before this call, and it's a challenging one to do, but if you do it right, the fans are absolutely going to love it, because Darth Vader's iconic. It's a great character. The suit's great. And I really believe what we're going to put out is going to make fans of Star Wars and Darth Vader alike very, very happy. That's what we have upcoming for product drops. And the last thing I want to share with you guys, really happy to share with this too, is sometime, I think we're talking middle of the year, we're going to be launching free workout programs for consumers and for our fans alike. And this was kind of the idea I initially had when I started the company, was I wanted people to have the ability to work out like their favorite heroes and actors. But at the time, we didn't have permission from Marvel or DC. And at the time, we really didn't have the funds to put anything that was kind of cool together. It would just been like pictures or like graphic designs. It wasn't anything special. So I'm really happy to say that we've talked to Marvel. They've approved us to do official workouts of the characters, which no one ever has done before in the capacity that we're going to do. And we're not just going to do, hey, here's a 5-minute workout. We're actually going to do programs. We're going to do 8-12-week programs that people can follow and actually get results from. And each workout we do with the character is going to allow the customer or allow the person to train like the character. So, for example, if we're talking about Daredevil, it's like, what does that character, how would they really train? It's like, they're going to do a portion of martial arts. They're going to do a portion of functional training. They're going to do a portion of calisthenics or bodyweight exercises, plyometrics, things like that. Is that going to be different than somebody who's trying to train like the Hulk? Yes, because the Hulk is going to be more focused on maybe powerlifting movements and strength training movements and more mass and bodybuilding movements, right? So we're going to gear these workout programs tailored off of how the character would actually train, to let each person really train like their favorite character in the way that would be realistic to the character as well. And lastly, like with that, we're the only company who's doing this with Marvel, not, oh, here's what I think, this would do, and here's, X, Y, and Z. We're actually building it with Marvel, which is amazing. And the last component of the training that I'm really excited to share with you guys is, outside of the partnerships with DC and Marvel, we're going to be working with celebrity trainers that got their favorite actors into shape. And all I will tell you, I just had a conversation with a trainer 2 days ago, and I couldn't be better timing. He's a terrific guy, and I'll just tell you guys, we're going to be building, again, it's all going to be free. We're building a workout program with the trainer of Charlie Cox from Daredevil. And Nakam is his name. Wonderful guy, great guy. And we're going to be putting this together for free for the consumer so they can train and do what Charlie Cox did to get into shape for Daredevil, the show. And what we have planned and what we're going to do is going to be amazing. And it's really going to give accuracy for everybody. And that's kind of our goal, is to give it for free. We're not charging for this, and we want it to be accurate, because and that's a big problem in our industry, guys, is everybody's making these workout programs and what they think the actor did or what they think the character would do, but it's all BS. It's just anecdotal. It's their opinion based. We want to bring authenticity. We want to bring authority, and we want to bring truth to workouts, because that's what the people want. They want, what did these actors actually do to get in shape? They don't want BS. They want the legitimate truth. So we're going to be working with these actors, trainers, and launching free programs for fans, customers, whoever is going to find some value in that. And I can't stress enough how excited I am to bring that to life, because for a lot of people, these characters, these actors are what got me inspired to work out or be better or just be a better human in general. And to be able to bring this to life and bring it to our fans for free, it's amazing. It's a great experience. We're going to continue to add onto that over the years to come. Couldn't be more happy and excited to do that.
Wow. That is absolutely remarkable, and I get goosebumps, and it's just so exciting, especially because Charlie Cox in the Daredevil series absolutely shredded. The dude is like made out of iron on that TV show. So I could not be more happy for you, man. It's so exciting. You are revolutionizing what it is to be a fan and celebrate fandom. So congrats to you, Austin. Congrats to everybody at SuperX. You're doing an incredible job. We're just so happy to see how big you guys are getting and how much you're putting out there to the community. You also have a VIP membership program where people can go and get notifications and get notified about maybe new sales you guys have coming up. So for anybody who hasn't already checked it out, go to superxapparel.com, become a VIP member so you can be notified about upcoming releases. Be the first to know when something is about to drop. Be the first to know when something else is about to hit, and stay in tune with everything that Austin and the team are doing over at SuperX. Austin, thank you so much for your time, man. Anything else you'd like to tell the fans out there? Let everybody know about what you guys got going on.
Yep, just two things. Download the app, the SuperX app on the App Store. We have, I think, over 30,000 app downloads. And for a clothing company, that's kind of crazy. And that's where you're going to see new product releases, early access, eventually the workout programs. Just download the SuperX app off of the App Store, the Android store. And lastly, guys, I just want to thank both of you guys and everyone listening for just letting me ramble on for an hour here. Typically, when you talk to like a CEO or founder, you're going to expect some aspirational, technical information, but I'm just a fan. I'm a nerd. I love this stuff as much as the next guy. And I appreciate you guys letting me ramble and talk and share my passion for these things. And if you guys have any questions that are a little bit more specific or technical, or you just want to know anything that is more business related, or just pick my brain on anything, feel free to message me on Instagram at Austin Gayne, just my name on Instagram. And I'd be happy to answer questions that maybe I didn't answer here. But again, thank you guys for the time today. It was a pleasure and it was an honor to talk to you. And if you or anybody else, like I said, have any questions, hit me up.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there right now. That way people can hold me to it. I'm going to join the workout programs. I've been meaning to get back into shape where I used to be in the past. So I'm going to join the workout programs, and everybody watching is going to hold me accountable, make sure that they follow up and ask if I did or not. Secondly, go download the app. Absolutely do that. And Ray, I need you to hold me accountable too. Make sure that I do that. Austin, though, thank you so much for your time, man. It's not only about what you built, but also the words and your experience and talking about either just never giving up, having that perseverance, being in the right state of mind. I know that there's a lot of people around the world, but especially in the U.S., that are struggling for a number of reasons. Either it's job or education, or just trying to keep a sane state of mind with all of the noise happening out there in the world today. So thank you for it is still words of inspiration and aspiration, and your story is one that I think people can take a lot away from. It'll be extremely helpful for a lot of folks watching this. And like he mentioned, follow him on Instagram, go download the app. And again, thank you so much, brother, for taking time to speak with us today.
Yep. And as Stan Lee would say, Excelsior.
Excelsior, absolutely.